As the first rays of sunlight pierced through Seoul's skyline, a taxi crept to a stop in a narrow alley, still cloaked in the shadows of the night. A young Chinese woman staggered out, her face ashen, her clothes disheveled as if she'd just endured the worst nightmare of her life. A friend steadied her, guiding her into a small rented room, their eyes brimming with worry and dread. This woman, whom we'll call A, had come to Seoul chasing dreams of an unforgettable trip, eager to soak in the culture and cuisine of the city that never sleeps. But last night, those hopes and dreams shattered in a horrifying ordeal. I had no idea she'd become the victim of a brutal physical assault. She had no clue that one of the perpetrators behind her tragedy was Tae-il, a celebrated member of the wildly popular K-pop group NCT, Tae. Il was known as a talented, soft-spoken star, adored by fans for his sweet, approachable image within NCT. To the public, he was the ideal role model, a shining career, a quiet personal life, free of scandal. But now, as the truth begins to unravel, no one can believe this man could commit such a heinous act of violence. How could someone with everything, looks, talent, fame, fortune, plummet into the abyss of such depravity? How did Tae-il craft such a flawless facade, hiding a sick and sordid personal life? All will be revealed in today's video. You're watching True Crime in the World, where we dive into gripping cases and captivating stories. As always, before we begin the case of Tae-il, NCT, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to support us. Thank you so much. South Korea, renowned as one of East Asia's safest nations, draws global tourists with its rich culture, vibrant cuisine, and cutting-edge innovation. Itaewon, a district famed for its electrifying nightlife, is a magnet for those craving excitement. Here, bars, clubs, and all-night parties pulse with energy, attracting not just local youth, but international visitors and residents alike. It was this allure that brought a Chinese tourists to Itaewon, eager to experience Seoul's thrilling nightlife. Yet like any bustling metropolis, the vibrant streets of Itaewon conceal dark corners. Dangers lurk, especially when alcohol clouds judgment and sweet-talking strangers seem all too trustworthy. A fun evening can spiral into a nightmare in an instant. And that's exactly what A endured on that fateful night. When A was helped out of the taxi by the driver and a stranger, her friend was stunned by the sight. A was utterly exhausted, intoxicated beyond coherence. Her clothes in disarray, her wrists marked with purple bruises, her eyes wild with panic. The driver explained he'd been hired to transport A from an unfamiliar area she couldn't recall. Throughout the ride, she was barely conscious. The signs were unmistakable. A's friend feared she'd been the victim of a sexual assault while incapacitated. Determined not to let evidence slip away, they immediately contacted local police to report the incident. As they waited, A's friend pressed her for details, but A's memory was a blur. She vaguely recalled laughing and drinking with 3 Korean men, their shouts of one shot ringing as they clinked glasses in a lively atmosphere. Then, her memories faded. All she could piece together was someone helping her out of the bar. The only link between A and her assailant was a fleeting encounter a few short hours at a bustling Itaewon bar. A simply wanting to embrace her youthful adventure, never imagined she'd fall prey to such a vile crime. But the truth would soon come to light, as the emergency call was forwarded to Seocho Police Station, the district likely encompassing the crime scene. According to initial reports from the Seocho District Police, victim A, a 23-year-old Chinese national, was an outgoing young woman visiting South Korea for the first time. A fan of Korean culture, she was eager to explore Seoul's famous landmarks and, above all, dive into the vibrant nightlife of Itaewon, a globally renowned multicultural hub buzzing with energy. When investigators arrived at the initial scene, they noted A's dress stained with dirt, possibly from a floor, and her hair in disarray. She was still in shock, dazed, and trembling. Clear signs of physical violation marked her body. A was immediately taken for a medical examination, and preliminary results confirmed she had been sexually assaulted while incapacitated. Small bruises on her body aligned with signs of coercion. Though the assault didn't occur at her hotel, early clues emerged from the marks on her body and her fragmented memories. A was still intoxicated, her blood alcohol level so high she could barely control her movements. One investigator noted the victim was so drunk she couldn't hold herself up. This suggested the perpetrator exploited her vulnerable state to commit the crime. A's clothes were speckled with dirt and debris. Police suspected she'd been laid on a floor or pavement. Her mobile phone was missing from her purse. But a critical clue surfaced in her wallet, a taxi receipt documenting a 5 a.m. ride from a residential area in Tae-il district. This receipt became a vital key, helping police pinpoint the mysterious starting point of A's journey back to her hotel. From these early signs, investigators ruled out a random street attack. It appeared A had been taken to a secluded location before the assault. The fact that she was returned via taxi strengthened the theory that the perpetrator deliberately obscured the true crime scene, moving the victim to another location. Following the discovery of these crucial clues, the Tae-il District Police launched a full-scale investigation suspecting an organized assault. A's extreme intoxication and memory loss further supported this theory, indicating the perpetrators exploited her defenseless state, a hallmark of Junggangan quasi-rap under South Korean law. When the National Forensic Service delivered A's medical report, the investigators' suspicions were confirmed. The examination revealed seminal fluid from multiple individuals on her body, a chilling finding that pointed to several perpetrators in the assault. This escalated the case to Tugsu Junggangan Special Quasi-rap, a grave charge reflecting the brutality and premeditated nature of the crime, carrying severe penalties. Police collected DNA samples from the seminal fluid and skin cells found on A's body and clothing. These were cross-referenced with the National Criminal Database, but no matches were found suggesting the perpetrators had no prior convictions. Still, these DNA samples became pivotal evidence for the ongoing investigation and pursuit of the culprits. As A regained some composure, she tried to piece together what she could recall. She described meeting 3 Korean men at an Itaewon bar. One was tall and lanky, the other 2 of average build, all in their 30s. They introduced themselves with English names or nicknames, but A, intoxicated during their encounter, couldn't recall them clearly. The men offered her cocktails and beer, and by 2 a.m. A was reeling, no longer in control. In her haze, she vaguely remembered one man putting his arm around her, guiding her out of the bar. Then her memories fractured. I just remember feeling so cold and terrified. I didn't know where I was. It was pitch black, A recounted. Based on A's limited testimony, investigators turned to Seoul's extensive CCTV network for answers. Sure enough, footage from 2:30 a.m. on June 13th captured A at the bar sitting with 3 men matching her description. One man had his arm around A, steadying her as she seemed unable to sit upright. The other 2 settled the bill. By 2:33 a.m., cameras showed the group leaving the bar, with A barely able to walk, one man carrying or supporting her. The group then vanished down a street corner toward Itaewon's main road. Tracking Seoul's dense web of public CCTV, investigators spotted A's group again on a sidewalk not far from their last sighting. As suspected, an orange Seoul taxi was hailed. At 2:40 a.m., cameras captured 2 men hoisting A into the back seat. The third man exchanged words with the driver before climbing in. The taxi then sped away from Itaewon, heading south toward a quieter part of the city. Police believed this could be the crime scene. To trace the taxi's destination, authorities contacted the Seoul Taxi Association, cross-referencing GPS data from overnight trips. The receipt found in A's wallet led them to taxi number X, which picked up passengers in Itaewon at 2:40 a.m. and dropped them off in Bangbai Seocho district around 4:50 a.m. This window aligned with the time the perpetrators likely committed the crime before placing A back in a taxi near her hotel. Further CCTV footage from Bangbai revealed no clear images of A on the streets between 3:00 and 4:00 a.m., suggesting she was taken indoors. But at 5:00 a.m., a camera caught two men escorting a woman in a dress matching A's out of a residential gate. They walked briefly before stopping at a major intersection to hail another taxi. Using GPS data, police pinpointed the suspect apartment owned by a man surnamed Lee, in his 30s, a Bangbai resident. Within 48 hours of gathering evidence, prosecutors approved an urgent search warrant. On August 15, 2024, 2 months after the incident, a special task force stormed Lee's apartment. The apartment appeared tidy with no obvious signs of a struggle. But under ultraviolet light, police uncovered suspicious fluid stains on the floor and sofa. Rapid forensic tests confirmed these were seminal traces matching the DNA collected from A. This proved it. A was assaulted in this very apartment. Beyond the stains, police seized bed sheets, clothing, and electronic devices, including Lee's phone and laptop, for further analysis. Scouring message logs, investigators found a suspicious exchange between two contacts labeled Hong and Lee. Sent at 4:30 a.m. on June 13th, post-incident, the message read, "Get outside and hail a taxi. Do it somewhere else." This aligned perfectly with the police's theory the perpetrators deliberately moved A to another location to obscure the crime scene and distance it from Lee's address. This was damning evidence of their calculated cover-up. Digging deeper, investigators uncovered a group call log between Lee Hong and a contact labeled T, made just before the incident, likely when the suspects coordinated their plan. With evidence from videos, the taxi receipt, and text messages, police zeroed in on the suspects. They confirmed the apartment belonged to Lee, 33, and his associate Hong, 34. But the real shock came when they traced the phone number tied to T through Lee's ID records. The identity was revealed: Moon Tae-il, 31. Background checks exposed Moon Tae-il as a famous K-pop idol. This revelation shifted the case into uncharted territory, a high-profile celebrity potentially linked to a heinous crime. The sensitive nature of implicating a star demanded utmost caution. Information was immediately escalated to senior officials to ensure objective procedures and prevent leaks before an official conclusion. On August 20th, 2024, armed with irrefutable evidence, police summoned Lee and Hong, the first two suspects. At the station, they admitted meeting A at Itaewon with their friend Tae-il, claiming they brought her to Lee's apartment because she was too drunk and needed rest. But when confronted with A's complete incapacitation, incapable of consenting to any intimacy, Lee and Hong confessed to the assault, implicating all three. When pressed about the third man, Lee and Hong confirmed Moon Tae-il, a member of the famed NCT, was their close friend and a participant in the assault. Their statements matched forensic findings, confirming DNA from all three men on A's body. According to their confessions, Moon Tae-il struck first. He leaned down, groping A, dragging her limp body from the sofa to the bedroom. She was powerless, unable to resist. Exploiting her unconscious state, the K-pop star forced himself on her. As a celebrity and a human being, he should have known this was a grave violation of the law. But in that moment, only his primal urges mattered. 15 minutes later, Moon Tae-il emerged, his face flushed, drenched in sweat. He avoided eye contact with his friends, perhaps with a flicker of shame. Hong clapped him on the shoulder, smirking. "Feels good, doesn't it?" No one answered, but they all knew the crime wasn't over. Hong entered the bedroom next, continuing the depravity. He shut the door behind him. Lee and Tae-il slumped in the living room, waiting. Over 20 minutes later, Hong stepped out, making way for Lee, the last to act. Lee rushed into the room like a predator to prey his pent-up excitement unleashed after nearly an hour of restraint. When it was over, the three stood over A's naked, sprawled body on the bed. Hong signaled to dress her quickly. They wiped away incriminating traces, blood, if any, or signs of assault. Luckily for them, A's lack of resistance left no severe injuries, making their cover-up smoother. Tae-il, trembling, checked A's breathing. She was still unconscious. He slapped her cheeks lightly. She only groaned, slipping back into oblivion. She can't wake up here. Hong hissed, his mind racing for a plan. It was nearing 5 a.m. If A woke and recognized her surroundings, they'd be trapped. They agreed to get her out before she stirred. The trio split tasks Lee carried. Out Hong stayed to hail a taxi, and Tae-il cleaned the apartment. At an intersection 200 meters away, Hong flagged an empty cab. They placed A still unconscious in the back seat. The driver, startled by her state, questioned them. Hong forced a smile, lying. "My friend drank too much. Please take her to Hotel X near Itaewon. Here's the fare and a tip." He slipped the driver a large bill, approximately 100,000 VND, about $4 USD, adding, "If she doesn't wake, call this number for her friend to pick her up." Hong had found A's friend's number in her phone's contacts. The driver, hesitant but persuaded by the cash, nodded. As the taxi pulled away, Hong and Lee exhaled in relief. Lee returned to finish cleaning the apartment. Hong went to his nearby flat, and Moon Tae-il took another taxi to his agency's dorm before dawn. Back at the dorm, Tae-il changed and showered, as if he could wash away his guilt. Fear gnawed at him. What if they were caught? He texted his accomplices for updates, and they assured him all was clear. When Lee learned police were closing in, he alerted the group via a private chat. Moon Tae-il spiraled into panic. He knew the scandal was about to erupt, inescapable. Under pressure from his friends and the investigation, Tae-il confessed to SM Entertainment's management. The agency immediately suspended his activities and enlisted lawyers to prepare a defense. The motive behind Moon Tae-il and his accomplices' crime was a toxic blend of raw desire and disdain for the law. Fueled by alcohol and a warped belief that a foreign victim like A wouldn't dare report them, they targeted a vulnerable young woman to sate their depravity. Of the three, Moon Tae-il showed the most remorse. He likely realized he'd lost everything: career, fame, and fans' trust. Yet the legal accountability for all three is equal. Each played an active role in the crime, turning a young woman's life into a nightmare, haunting her forever. On August 28, 2024, Moon Tae-il, through his lawyer, surrendered to the police and submitted a detailed confession. He admitted to all charges, recounting his actions with chilling clarity, blaming his drunkenness and folly. Despite his remorse, prosecutors deemed his surrender irrelevant. Evidence was already airtight, offering no grounds for leniency. With undeniable proof, police forwarded the case to the Seoul Central Prosecutor's Office for prosecution. On the same day, SM Entertainment, Moon Tae-il's agency, issued a press release confirming his involvement in a criminal case and his immediate expulsion from NCT. The company stated his contract would be handled per their regulations. The announcement stunned fans and the public. Since his debut in 2016, Moon Tae-il had been seen as a gentle, scandal-free artist. He was a source of pride for his family and millions of fans worldwide with no prior convictions or serious personal controversies. Not only were fans shocked by the grave accusations, but SM Entertainment admitted they were utterly shocked and disappointed to learn their artist was implicated. The news spread like wildfire, rocking the industry. Within hours of the official statement, headlines and social media exploded with reports of NCT member accused of serious assault. Though SM's statement avoided specifics, the bombshell garnered over 45 million views on X Twitter. K-pop fans were reeling. Many expressed disbelief, unable to reconcile the gentle Tae-il they adored with such a heinous crime. Comments flooded in some mournful, others scathing with condemnation. After the trial, Moon, Tae-il, Lee, and Hong each received a 3-year and 6-month prison sentence. The court also mandated 40 hours of therapy to prevent future physical violations and barred them from working at facilities involving children or youth for 5 years post-release. As the verdict was read, the 3 were handcuffed in court, having previously been out on bail. Moon Tae-il's mother collapsed, screaming and fainting, briefly disrupting the courtroom. Some of Tae-il's fans sobbed uncontrollably, calling his name in despair. Despite preparing for this moment, Moon Tae-il couldn't hold back tears. He glanced at his family one last time before being led to a waiting van. The 3.5-year sentence for such a grave crime sparked fierce debate. Some, especially fans, argued the court considered the defendant's remorse and the victim's decision not to pursue further action, making the sentence fair. But others, particularly women's rights activists, called it outrageously lenient. One bitter social media comment read, "Gang rape gets just 3.5 years." Whereas the justice legal experts noted the sentence fell within South Korea's legal framework. The victim's withdrawal of punitive demands and the defendant's confessions contributed to a reduced penalty. This reflects a quirk of South Korean law, while prosecution by complaint was abolished, meaning cases proceed regardless of the victim's wishes. The victim's stance still influences sentencing, fueling ongoing controversy. After the trial, Moon Tae-il's lawyer announced he would not appeal and accepted the sentence. Prosecutors also chose not to contest, noting that while lighter than requested, the penalty fit within legal guidelines. The Moon Tae-il NCT case, convicted of Taeguksu Jungangan special quasi-rape, ended with prison terms for all 3 perpetrators. But its shockwaves linger in South Korean society. This was a seismic blow to K-pop and the public. A once celebrated idol who performed before thousands now stood condemned as a sexual predator. Korean and international media dissected the case, probing not just the crime, but the dark underbelly of idol culture. Global outlets dubbed it the grim truth behind K-pop's glamour. The Los Angeles Times ran a headline, "Tae-il ex-K-pop star sentenced to over 3 years for assault, declaring justice served." Victim A returned to China by late 2024 after completing legal proceedings in South Korea. Korean authorities provided extensive support, interpreters, free legal counsel, and aid from the National Human Rights Commission of Korea, NHRCK, empowered A to pursue the case to its end. Her ordeal serves as a stark warning to tourists. Even in a safe country, foreigners can become targets. Yet, if tragedy strikes, speak out. South Korean police vowed to handle such cases rigorously regardless of the victim's identity. This case proves it. Expressed satisfaction with the investigation and trial. Though the sentence fell short of her initial hopes, the case raised questions about entertainment companies' oversight of their artists. SM Entertainment swiftly expelled Moon Tae-il upon learning of the incident, a move praised for protecting the group's reputation. Still, fans wondered, did the pressures of fame erode his morals? Or was this purely personal failure unrelated to his career? Either way, the lesson is clear: fame is no shield for crime. Recent years have seen other K-pop stars jailed for similar offenses, like Jung Jun-young and Choi Jung-hoon in 2019, sentenced to 5 to 6 years for assaulting unconscious women and filming illicit videos. In that case, the court warned the defendants, as celebrities treated women as tools for gratification, committing grave crimes. Now, Moon Tae-il's case echoes that alarm, exposing the shadows behind stardom. When character falters, fame can breed arrogance, disdain for the law, and disregard for others. May this case teach us to uphold dignity, respect the law, and stay vigilant. Above all, justice prevailed. The guilty face consequences, while the victim, though scarred, holds her head high, closing a nightmarish chapter. What do you think of this case? Is 3.5 years in prison too lenient? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Before you go, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to catch more cases on true crime in the world.